Hey, witches!
Hi, hello. Welcome back to another episode of Well of Ascension.
I need you to know that right after I started to say hey, witches, I wanted to say gay witches, and I almost switched in the middle, and so it almost came out like hey, gay witches!
You should have just said gay witches.
Yeah, that's yeah.
Oh well.
Because it's Pride Month. Officially.
Well, you fucked up.
Damn it.
Oh well.
It's fine. Part 3 of the book, which is what, part 6 of episode 6 of this book.
Yeah.
It's called King because if you'll recall, the very end of the last one was Ellen receiving a letter from the assembly and he was deposed.
Damn.
So this part is the aftermath of that situation.
Sucks to suck, Ellen.
Yeah. But also, so they're all like, we're going to fight this, like the crew. Tyndall is like, so let me get this straight. She basically calls him a fucking idiot. And I'm like, but if he fights this outright, then he's kind of defeating the purpose of putting the law in there in the first place. So if they really know Ellen at all, they're going to know that he's not going to do that. Like,
yeah.
He might fight it in his own way, but he's not going to impose martial law like Ham or Clubs, whoever, one of them suggests. Clubs.
Yeah, because he's trying not to be
like a tyrant.
A dictator. Yeah.
Yeah. And they're all like, you are the law, blah, 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 blah. And he's like,
I wrote the law. That's not the same.
Yeah. And he's like, yes, we will respond. You will write a letter informing the assembly of our disappointment and feelings of betrayal. Tell them their success with Straff and lay on the guilt as thickly as possible. And then she's like, Tyndall is like, there's nothing immoral about securing your power during a time of chaos. People react irrationally during such times. That is one of the reasons why they need strong leadership and they need you. And Ellen goes, that only if they want me. And I was like, yeah, I knew that was going to be his response. Like, he's never going to be the one that's like a dictator forcing his rule on people.
He's just trying to be the best he can. He wants the people to want him, but he's not going to force them.
Yeah. And then Orsor is cracking me up. We're starting to see more of his personality.
Mm-hmm.
So on page 342 in the little book, Orsor says, it seems that these meetings would be more productive if someone forgot to invite those two. Talking about Ham and Breeze.
and it wasn't even the whole argument between the two was just like, why do you still do that? Why do you still wear that? And it's like, hold on. There's 3 armies trying to take over Luthadel. Can we not worry about who is wearing what?
Yeah, let's not worry about that. But then he's like, Orsor's like, I could always eat one of them if you wish. That might speed things up. And it's just funny. Like, his humor is coming out. And what was it? Oh, she's like, they probably wouldn't taste very good anyway. Ham's far too stringy. And you don't want to know the kinds of things that Breeze spends his time eating. And Orsor goes, I'm not sure. One is, after all, named Ham. And as for the other, he does seem quite fond of marinating himself, like nodding at the point of the cup of wine.
Yeah, I loved that. I thought that was hilarious.
Yes,
I was like,
Orsor is like
so good.
His personality's coming out, and it's a bit cunty, and I like it.
Yeah, he's like, I'm not saying like he's gay, but like, having like that gay best friend, like that.
Yes,
that really, really flamboyant
sassy
guy. Yeah, that's who he reminds me of, like the sass level.
Yes. But honestly, he does try to stay out of the drama if he can. So, like, he feels like a me. Like, he loves the drama, and he's in the background, like, commentating the drama, but he doesn't want to be a part of the drama.
Yeah. He's absolutely perfect. Oh, my Lord.
Listen, the sneezes are sneezing. Everybody's cutting their grass today. Yeah, and I don't know why they didn't cut it yesterday, because today it's fucking hot, but it's fine. Anyway, Orster's cracking me up. And then the next little part about where Ellen's talking about, like, this is what we would do, where he's like, giving them like strategies of how he's going to try to convince the assembly to basically, even though they're trying to depose him, to vote for him as his own replacement. And I know that my number one like attractor, like, yes, there are physical attributes that I'm attracted to, but the number one thing that attracts me to a person is intelligence. And I know that because I love Ellen. Like, and not like cold, brutal, cruel intelligence, but like intelligence with heart, like this, where he's like also got his own moral code.
Yeah.
I don't know. I love Ellen. And this part that we're reading right now, just like cemented that.
Solidifies.
Yes.
Oh. I see why. Okay.
Yeah. And then Tidwell gets a little sketch.
Honestly, she's not my favorite.
There are parts of her that, like, there are certain parts that she's in, and I'm like, yes, I love her. Especially some parts that come later in part 3.
No.
But, well, I don't know if you've read those parts yet, so I can't argue that point with you. But the more I learn about her, the more suspicious I get. Like, I know she says that Sazed asked her to give him instruction, but, like, she's so about the rules and about, like, that just doesn't make sense. Because, I don't know, the more I learn about her, the more suspicious I get about her role and everything and why she's here.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Because it's like, okay, I see that there's a reason for you here, but why you gotta like make my life a living hell?
Yeah.
Because to me that doesn't make it it doesn't seem worth it.
Well, and also some of the changes that we're seeing in Ellen because of her, I don't like. Like, he's kind of becoming a bit of a dick in some cases. And, like, in those situations, yes, it's probably necessary as king for him to be a dick to keep his, like, authority. But also, that's not Ellen's, and I don't like it.
Sure.
And then chapter 29.
This is where I see the thread going taut.
You mean Vin?
Yes.
Yeah, she is basically, it's the equivalent. So she's burning pewter to stay awake. Yeah, right? Pewter?
Yes.
Yeah, to stay awake. And it's the equivalent, I feel, of like taking energy shots every 5 hours. Like, so she's still, like, the moment she stops burning pewter, she's going to be fucking exhausted. And I feel like she's going to crash out at a really inconvenient time.
Like when Breeze was coming back from, so I found out his name's Set, not Ket, Set.
Okay, I thought it was Set, but the first time I said that, you looked at me like I had 3 heads. So,
well, because I don't know. When I see a C, I don't automatically think it makes an S sound. Yeah. I would automatically go to clock.
Right.
So I'm thinking Ket, and Will's like, no, it's Set. And I was like, okay, well, I see a C, so it's either a K sound or a C sound, and they're both the fucking same. So, and he goes, no, it's Set. And I was like, okay. And then there's a character in like a chapter or two, like 32, in chapter 32, where I was like, what fucking name is that? He's like, I was like, it looks like fucking gonorrhea. We'll talk about that character later, but like,
we will, and I want before you tell me names. Before you tell me how it's supposed to be pronounced, I want to attempt to pronounce it. Like how I would pronounce it.
He doesn't know how it's supposed to be pronounced.
Oh, I thought he's listened to the audiobooks.
He has. That's when I was like, well, what is this? And he looked at it, he goes, oh, I don't remember that. So
we'll have to look it up.
Yeah, I'll have to listen to it. But this right here is kind of where I start seeing the changes in Ellen a lot more. Like a lot of the like more bad, like,
yeah,
why do you got to treat her like that? But on the other hand, I also see not necessarily Vin pining after Zane. I called him Zach. Sorry,
but there is definitely some like longing.
Yeah, and
not necessarily like for physical attraction, but just like someone who gets her,
that understands. Yeah, and it's not. She doesn't explicitly come out with her like longing, if you will. But she is definitely out there somewhere.
Yeah, she's like out there waiting for him. She's like sitting out there waiting around for him. It's kind of like, you remember like in middle school when there would be like the dances and all the girls would be like lying around the edge just staring at their crush and like,
yeah, and then like this is the last time you and your like crush talk to, and it's sentimental to you and you're just hoping he meets you there too.
Yeah,
like, again, that kind of thing. She's like, oh, this is where we last fought, so he'll be here. And it's like, why are you searching him out?
Right, like, stop it, you weirdo.
I get it. I understand where she's coming from with it, because like Zane's getting into her head, and this is something she struggled with even before finding out she was misborn. So like,
yeah,
okay, I'll take a little bit of it. I understand, but however, stop it.
Yeah, right. Well, and then at the end of this chapter, Vin has like a realization. And I'm so confused because the sun has risen completely above the horizon, yet a few insistent swirls of mist waver in the air as if trying to defy the sun, to continue to cloak the city to stave off the light of day. And then Vin is like, oh my gosh, I think I just realized what the deepness was. And I was like, nighttime? Like, what the fuck? I was really confused because we've already been talking about it being the mist, right? Like, we had already established that. Yeah. So the fact that I was just really confused and I was like, what is she talking about? And so then I felt really let down when I started reading the next chapter. I was like, the mist? Really? It took you this long to figure that out? Like, and then when they're like, Ellen's like, no, that's not it. I'm like, what? Obviously, honestly, that's it. Like, and I realize we have more information than they do, but like,
yeah. And honestly, in chapter 30, Vin goes to talk to Sazed and like kind of trying to bounce off some of those ideas off of him. I honestly got really put off by Sazed because Sazed used to go with like all of Kelsier's like random things, plans, whatever. Yes. And I think at that point, he was blinded by the fact that he wanted to take down the Lord Ruler while also like keeping all of the stuff for him. But now that threat isn't as bad as it was, at least. So he's trying to downplay Vin's ideas that it's the mist or it's something within the mist, something within the mist. So I'm like, what the fuck? Sazed, you're... Listen to her.
Yeah.
Pretend like it's a legitimate... like that. You don't have to question it at all. Just go with it. She's probably right. Although, if she would start telling people that she hears thumping, like specifically Sazed, like thumping off in the distance, like maybe he might take her a little bit more seriously, but...
Yeah, but he doesn't even really give her a chance to, like, tell him that, because he's like,
He like
No.
cuts her off and like shuts her
Yeah.
down real fast.
I do laugh a little bit on this page 361 though, because she has like her notes from when she was doing her research, and he's like, Lady Vin, did you write this yourself? And she's like, why is everyone so surprised about that? And he goes, it doesn't seem in your nature, Lady Vin. You people have corrupted me.
Well, and didn't she say that on like the most recent, like in their most recent chapter? She was like, "Oh, I sound like Cecil."
Yeah, she did. She did. But yeah, that's like, I don't know. She does tell him, she tells him that she's seen the like form in the mist. And he's like, are you sure you've seen a form in the mist? Like, no, she's just making shit up. Like, what?
Yeah.
I don't know. It frustrates me.
We also learn a little bit more too about like the terrace culture and like the breeding program, because she is she's talking to Sazed specifically about Tindwyl and like how hard she is on Elend, and basically that she doesn't like it. And she was trying to get more insight from Sazed about it, and Sazed's like, oh, she's a perfect person, like she's done this, she's done that. And then we do find out that she was actually one of the breeders. So when she stated that she raised 20-something children, she wasn't lying. That's actually her children. She like,
and her first one, she had her first child at 14.
Yeah. So she was immediately sent into like the breeding program. And that's all she was good for. I'm not saying she slept with like a lot of people, but like
she did volunteer for it though.
Yeah. Mainly because she found out she was able to do Feruchemy.
Yeah, and she was going to be able to pass on that basically. So that's but it literally says like she had at last count birthed over 20 children, each with a different father. The first when she was 14, and spent her entire life being taken repeatedly by strange men until she became pregnant. And because of the fertility drugs the breeding masters forced upon her, she often bore twins or triplets.
Yeah.
Ugh.
And honestly, isn't that the idea behind Handmaid's Tale? Like, I haven't watched it, I haven't read it, none of that. But
parts of it, yes. I mean, loosely, yes.
Because I've not like the whole plot, obviously, but I feel like I watched a scene or something like that. Somebody put it on TikTok and said, like, this is what made me watch Handmaid's Tale. And I'm like, must have been very profound if you didn't watch it before.
Right.
So I was thinking, I was watching it and I was like, okay, so this girl goes into this place, like, is this like a birthing location? Is this like forced breeding? I was like, what? So
yeah, based on what color they wear and like,
yeah, and that's
like the handmaids are the ones that
do the birthing or whatever.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Don't like that.
It was hard to read, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I've read the books, I have not watched the show, and it was hard to read, both because of the way it's written and because of the content. Like, it was rough. But
I don't know if I want to read it, but I would be interested in watching it.
I don't think that you would like the books because it's written in a very like dry, almost academic way.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah, it was not super fun to read.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
I don't think that it would be worth your time to read, but watching the show might be good. From what I've heard, the show is pretty spot on. I haven't watched it, so really? I can't like guarantee that, but anyway, yeah, that is the end of chapter 30. Is basically we learn that Tindwyl is a handmaid. And she's finally out because she doesn't she's past her childbearing years. And then chapter 31, we meet, I'm going to say Phylon. Is that his name?
I think it's Philin.
Phylon?
You know what?
I don't know.
I'm gonna look this shit up. Hold up.
I feel like it's Phylon.
Look, it might very well be Phylon. I'm only saying it's Philin because we have a fucking Zane.
Yeah. But he is on the assembly. He's one of the merchants on the assembly. And he's kind of a dipshit.
That's so true.
Yeah. He's interesting. But basically he's kind of got Napoleon syndrome, honestly. Like, he is like, I'm not Scott. I should have a grand name. I should be this. I should be that.
Mm-hmm.
And he's really, ugh. But Ellen kind of outsmarts him a little bit, but then he pulls I don't even know what to call it, like a trump card, I guess. Like, he pulls out something crazy too. So, but first I was like, is Phylon working for Zane or with Zane? Because he says something in his head, I think, about his spy in the or he's looking for someone in the audience of the assembly meeting. Phylon is, but we don't know who it is. And then Ellen mentions that he sees Zane in the crowd, and I was like, oh, is Phylon working with Zane?
See, I was thinking that too. I honestly did not imagine the
plot twist.
Yeah.
Because, so first of all, I'm 380. I was like, I love Ellen, because Ellen, they have to nominate a chancellor, because typically the king would run these assembly meetings. Well, now that there is no king, they have to elect like a chancellor for who's going to run the meeting. And so Ellen nominates Lord Penrod. And he does that, like, that's very strategic, because he does it, first of all, because he knows that they all respect him and he's nobleman, so they will probably vote him on chancellor. And they do. And then he turns around and nominates Ellen to be voted for king. And I thought that was just very, like, strategic and intelligent of him, and I loved it. So it ends up being Penrod is nominated almost immediately.
Mm-hmm.
Penrod nominates Ellen, and then after an extremely dramatically long pause, Phylon stands up and is like, I have a nomination of my own. And they're like, oh, who's being melodramatic now? Go ahead and nominate yourself. And he's like, in fact, I'm not going to nominate myself, though I appreciate the sentiment. I am but a simple merchant. No, I think that the title of king should go to someone whose skills are a little more specialized. Tell me, Lord Venture, must our nominations be for people on the assembly? No, they don't have to be on the assembly. And they can basically nominate anyone. And Phylon goes, well then, I think the title should go to someone who has a little practice with it, someone who has shown a skill with leadership. Therefore, I nominate Lord Ashweather Kett to be our king. Lord Ashweather Set to be our king.
No.
And he's there in the audience. And they're all like, oh, fuck. And then we find out that he's, like, disabled, like he's in a wheelchair.
Okay, hold on.
But that's not till the next chapter.
Okay. Someone better go report to Straff about his itty bitty buddy, because homie's turning on him.
Yeah.
First off. Second off, going into chapter 32, okay, listen, there is not enough words in that paragraph prior to Breeze saying, "You didn't know he was
Yeah.
crippled?" To guess that he was crippled. I
No.
immediately, okay, look, I in that chapter, it's like, get to it. He is essentially, he waves to his guards and he stands up.
No, he
Yeah,
doesn't
here it
stand
is.
up. They pick up his wheelchair.
Yeah. So, yeah, because that's what it says. Set's days as leader in the West would certainly be numbered. Set was gambling with Straff. Da-da-da-da. But yeah, he smiled as the room waited in silence, assemblymen and audience alike too shocked to speak. Set waved to a few of his disguised soldiers, and the men picked up Set's chair and carried it to the stage. I was like, damn, he's a lazy fucking prick.
Yeah.
Why can't he walk to the assembly stage himself? Like, some fucking king. And then, not even 2 lines later, it's Breeze goes, nobody told you he was crippled? Bitch, no one said anything about him being crippled.
Right, like how, and he's like on the front lines of what is about to be a war. Like he's in the besieging army. Like,
Yeah. So I'm sitting here like, oh, okay, I guess I'll just slide back into my fucking hobble. Because I made a very bad comment about somebody who was disabled. And I was like, okay, I take it back. I'm so sorry.
right. Well,
But
and then I was like, this is bold. There's not. I had no idea until that moment. But then, like, he's bold as fuck, first of all, for just walking in here with like 30 soldiers. And I was like, it's bold, but not as smart as Ellen. And then I was like, a couple pages later, I was like, okay, maybe
not so much.
Not as dumb as I thought he was. He's pretty smart, but he's super fucking arrogant.
Yeah.
But I
was like, oop.
Yeah. And then he decides he's going to meet with each assemblyman on their own and like yada, yada, yada. But then Vin is convinced that he's a fucking fake. She's like, on page 388, it's like the last page of the chapter. She's like, he's misborn. And Ellen's like, you sensed allomancy from him? And she said, no. And he's like, then how do you know? Well, look at him. He acts like he can't walk. That has to be covering up something. What would be more innocent than a cripple? Can you think of a better way to hide the fact that you're misborn? And Breeze goes, Vin, my dear, Set has been crippled since childhood when a disease rendered his legs useless. He's not misborn. And Vin goes, that has to be one of the best cover stories I've ever heard. I just love that. She's like, nah, he's a faker. Big fucking phony. But, like, she could be right. Like, we don't know.
Yeah. To be quite honest, it could be a Condra, too. Like,
it could be. Or maybe, like, when it says since childhood he had a disease render his legs useless. But what if it was actually just when he snapped? Or what do they call it? It's snapped, right? When he got his powers?
Oh, yeah, maybe.
His misborn powers? So, like, it could be, and then he was just, like, hiding it from, I don't know, his siblings so they wouldn't be threatened by him or something. You know, I don't know. Nobles do weird shit.
That'd actually be pretty, okay. Wouldn't be cool, but, like, that'd be pretty dope for, like...
He's playing the long game as a child.
Yeah, like, it's like Stewie Griffin.
Right? Like...
Trying to take over the world.
Yeah.
How'd you say his name?
Who? Oh, Njorden?
No, I was talking about Phylan or Phelan or whatever.
Oh, Phylan?
And I said Phylan, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I pulled up the audiobook. Don't you worry. Phylan Friendieu.
Phylan Friendieu. Okay.
Phylan.
And then I think that his son's name is Njorden. Or Njorden. Could just be Njorden.
Oh, don't worry, I'll find that too.
It's at the end of chapter 33.
Hey.
Or chapter 32, I mean, sorry. Like the very end. Because he comes and is like, my father would like to discuss the kidnap of my sister, blah, 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 blah. And he's like, that's not true. And he's like, my father would still like to discuss it. He thinks the conversation between you might be the city's best interest. You met with Straff in his camp. Don't tell me you aren't willing to do the same for Set inside your own city. And so Ellen's like, fine, I'll meet with him. And that's the end of chapter 32.
Also, you are correct. Njorden.
That's what I thought.
Njorden. Listen, I saw the word, just like when you see something.
I like how you said gonorrhea.
Listen, I was like, what the fuck is that? It looks like gonorrhea, and Will looks at it and thinks about it for a second. But it's spelled Gneordindin.
Yeah.
GN is the first words of gonorrhea. So I was like, huh? Wait, is it?
Yeah. No. GH.
Fuck it. I don't care. I'll just blame it on the fact that I learned Russian and H's are N's in Russian.
That's fair. And also, it's spelled fucking weird. I've just read enough fantasy novels that I was like, I feel like it's
we got fucking Zane.
Yeah, Zane.
It should be Zane. Zany.
His name should be I don't know.
You ever see those TikToks where they're pronouncing all of these words really, really fucking weird?
Yeah.
And then when the audiobook, you're listening to the audiobook, it's you pronounce it Jennifer.
Yes.
And then the fantasy readers are we sure?
Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. But
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It fucks with your head.
It does, especially Fourth Wing with all the Celtic based names, and then they're not even pronounced the Celtic way.
Tyrant.
Yeah.
At least that's about the only one. But even
then, the people from Wales or whatever, they say Tarn.
Tarnanok.
Not Tarn. Tarn. But anyway, it's a weird fucking name, but he is Set's son and Elrian's brother. And he wants to set up a meeting between Ellen and Set.
And Set thinks they stole his daughter. And
Chapter 33. But I don't think he really thinks that. I think that he is just
using it as a ploy.
Yeah.
Perhaps.
And then we get to chapter 33.
Took me for a fucking loop.
Yeah, a lot kind of happens.
Will did that stupid ass thing he does where I'm sitting there, I'm like, I knew it. And he goes, what? And I told him, and he goes, okay. I was like, am I right? Sure, babe.
That thing you're talking about is gaslighting you.
Yeah. And I was like, what? Am I right or not? Yeah, sure.
So Brittany does the same shit, except not. If I guess, she'll be like, I don't know. Or she'll be like, yeah. But then she'll go, I don't know, just watch. Because it's always a TV show. Because it's I don't watch TV very often. So recently I started watching Demon Slayer. And
that's a good one.
Right? So I'm only 4 or 5 episodes in. But
someone's watching anime.
Yeah. I've been wanting to watch that one for a while because I read the first manga and it was good. And so good. But I read way too fast to read manga. So
if you ever want some good anime options, I'll hit you up. I'll tell you.
And so I asked her what she thought my favorite character was going to be, and she gave me a list.
Who is it?
Who she thought my favorite character was going to be?
Yeah.
Or who is my favorite character so far?
Both.
So far my favorite character is Nezuko, but that's just because she sleeps a lot and growls. It's very on brand.
I love
for me,
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But she said I'm probably gonna pronounce it wrong. Muchiro.
Listen, I can hear it, but the moment I try to speak it,
Yeah, that guy.
it's gonna come out incorrect.
Was her number one that she thinks I'm gonna like, and then Ayo.
Probably. Ayo. I don't know.
Which is the dark butterfly girl. not the pink butterfly girl, but the other one. Anyway, so far I like Nezuko, but again, I'm like 5 episodes in. Like he just
I was gonna say you're
he just like, beat right the like trial thing where he cuts the big fucking multi demon, the one that's like absorbed other demons. I'm on like the episode after that. Like he's just started his journey basically. Oh no, you know what episode I'm on? I just remembered. The episode right after that where there's like the demon that's like three different faces or whatever.
Oh,
that like pops up out of the ground and is stealing the girls. That demon. That's where I'm at. That demon's hot.
Listen, Inuyasha is so good. If you want like a good like classic 90s kind of like vibe, like watching Sailor Moon kind of thing, like Inuyasha.
Well, I asked her because I was like, the only 2 shows that I have like a frame of reference for that are anime kind of are Avatar, which barely counts, and Pokemon.
Okay, that one counts, but
yeah. But like my favorite character in Avatar is Toph. And my favorite character in Pokemon is Meowth because he's a little cunt. So,
Meowth, that's right.
He's such a little asshole, and I love him. So I was like, based on that, who do you think my favorite character is going to be?
I told Will one time, I was like, can we go as Jesse James? And he goes, what do you mean? I was like, and then we'll just get Lily and she'll be Meowth, and then she'll be the cunty little face that everyone sees, and we'll just
Aren't they siblings?
What?
Team Rocket? Aren't they siblings?
I don't know.
I don't remember. They might not be.
Jesse James. Team Rocket blasts off at the speed of light.
Yes, absolutely.
Listen, if you like cunty characters, like, let me tell you, the arguing between Inuyasha and Kagome are like, it's chef's kiss. Like, I fucking love it when they argue so much. And you can watch her, like, whenever he pisses her off, she just has to look at him and go, sit, boy, and then he just goes wherever he is. Like, shit is so funny. It is hilarious.
One thing I do enjoy about anime is that it's one of those things that I can, like, watch while doing something else.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes I'm like, wait, what just happened? And I have to go back, but
it's easy because if you watch like the English dubbed, you can easily do anything. Someone's like, I'd rather watch the subtitles, and I was like, yo, I can't read that fast and see what's happening on the screen at the same time. Like, my brain does not compute.
I can, but like, I think that would annoy me because like when I'm watching,
I'd be like the whole fucking time. That would piss me off.
Like watching it, the English dub version, I have to turn subtitles off because the subtitles don't match what they're saying. Like, and not even close match what they're saying. Like, it's very different. So I have to shut the subtitles off.
Yeah.
But anyway, that was a side quest.
It's a good one, though.
It was a good one. But
ooh, you know what? Blue Exorcist. That would also be a good one.
Yeah, I've also been told Death Note and
don't watch the Netflix live action, but you are so right, man.
And then Death I know Brittany really liked Attack on Titans.
Oh, even better. Oh, that's a good one too. Listen, that one is so gory. not like gory, bad gory, but it's people get eaten by giant monsters. But like
Wait,
the
Attack on
flips and,
Titan or Death Note?
yeah. The flips and twists though, like Attack on Titan is so good. Blue Exorcist, it's like a bunch of students that all have something like a magic power kind of thing or whatever, and they're becoming not magic powers, but like they're becoming or they're training to be exorcists, and like one of them is a demon.
Oh,
Like the brother is a demon. Something
okay.
Like that. It's been a while since I watched that one. And it's very similar to other ones, so but that's a good one too.
Okay.
It's Sailor Moon.
I have a list.
Crystal. Because then you could watch the 5th episode or the 5th season and see Sailor Moon have a boyfriend girlfriend and one.
You're gonna have to text me these because I'm not gonna remember. So
okay.
It's
well,
fine.
I think also in Crystal, the 2 lesbian characters aren't cousins. If you watch the DIC dubbed and I don't remember the other company, Biz Dub or something like that. They make Michelle and I don't remember her name. They're cousins. And let me tell you, the animation is not for cousins. That is very much a lesbian relationship. So America did it dirty by saying they were cousins, because I'm like, I don't care that they're girls, but cousins shouldn't be that close to each other.
Right.
That's weird. Okay, I'll text them to you though.
Okay, yes, please do.
Anyway.
Then Vin is talking to Orsor about like the Kandra religion and like all of these various things, and he's like, Vin's like, what is it your people have prophecies about anyway? And he says, I don't think you want to know, mistress. And I'm like, well, now I definitely fucking want to know. And thankfully, he tells us.
Yeah.
It's like they dream of a day when the contract will not be necessary. And Vin says, when all humans are subject to you, and Sora goes, when they're all dead.
I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Like, I understand where the Condors are coming from with that, but I'm honestly surprised he said that out loud to Vin. And if I was Vin, I'd be like...
And she kind of does. She's like, wow. And he's like, well, they're not literal. They're like metaphors, expressions of hope. At least that's how I've always seen them. Which I feel like is what prophecies are, right? Like they're just hope for something different, or hope for something better.
I think part of the... a lot of the... I guess cliches about prophecies is that like somebody sees the prophecy, they see it for what it really is. Like
then it self-fulfills, because like Voldemort.
Yeah, I was gonna say it. Like, I hate to bring up Harry Potter, but with Harry Potter, like when they do the whole he sees the prophecy as this, somebody else sees the prophecy as something else. And with Dumbledore's help, like, kind of understands it. So that he's probably like, oh, we're gonna murder everybody, and then they're just like, no, they're gonna kill themselves, but
yeah,
they're dead.
Well, and that's what Orsor says. He's like, no, the stories say that you'll kill yourselves off because you're ruin after all. And I'm like, that's so accurate. Humans are ruin. They suck. We're the worst. Like, we are the worst. And I would literally debate someone happily about that. But he also says, you're supposed to destroy the world, I believe, using the Colossus as your pawns. And then we find out that like the Kandra and the Colossus have like a bond, because they both understand what it is to be slaves. Both are outsiders to the culture of the final empire. And then he breaks off and doesn't continue to speak. And she allows that. Like, she's like, that's fine.
I wonder, not necessarily because they're similar, like they do the same things, but because of the mist wraiths, they're like they're like cousins essentially.
Right.
So like, what if this was like second cousin once removed sort of thing with the Koloss, which makes me wonder, did like the Lord Ruler create those?
Yeah, I don't know. Well, and then I was also like, if they have a bond, is the Kandra spy from the Colossus army with Just or Jace then?
Oh.
Is it not
And maybe
Zane's
that's
spy at
how.
all?
Well, and
Because
that would make sense because that's how they see maybe that's how he's like commanding the army.
right. Well, and they all are just so convinced that it's Straff's Kandra that I don't think it is.
Yeah, I think I don't give a fuck whose candor it is. I don't think it's Straff's just based on everything.
Yeah.
But honestly, after that I started thinking that what if the Lord Ruler made them?
Yeah.
But you're right though. If they have a bond, they're probably with Jace's army.
Yeah. That's
Boy,
what I'm
that's
wondering.
terrifying.
Right?
But we see somebody out in the mist that's kind of walking weird.
We do.
Like nervous in a way.
Yeah.
And we're kind of brought this character in of like, it can't be this person because that's not how they walk. It can't be that person because it's too short in stature. Like, oh, maybe it's this person. It's not. And it's definitely not Zane. So she gets closer and she like essentially follows them because that's suspicious. And that's also one of the reasons why she sorry, I like read what I wrote and I was like, oh, I didn't say anything I wanted to say last chapter. But we essentially find out that it's Captain Demeaux.
Yep. He's
And
like being sketchy and sneaking around at night.
so it's speculated he's
Also,
the spy.
before that, we also find out that someone is poisoning the water in the city in
Yeah,
Luthadel. And they're like trying to figure out who it is, and I'm
because
like,
it's ska neighborhoods, right?
yeah. I'm like, that's actually a really smart strategy for one of the besieging armies to be poisoning the water.
Mm-hmm.
And then
I
there's a
also
whole
think it's probably set because it wasn't until after he was like, make me your king.
yeah, that all of a sudden this started happening.
Mm-hmm.
And it could be one of those things where he'll be like, it's a miracle, I fixed it. Like, but you did it to begin with. But then there's this whole part where Vin is like, Dox hasn't been the same since Kelsier died. He's been different. There's been this, he's been that. And I'm like, maybe it's grief because, you know, his best friend died. But Vin basically, in her mind, has ruled him out as the Kandra because she was like, that's real emotion. There's no way he could fake that.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's convinced when she sees him that Demu is the spy, and I don't think she's correct. He might be a spy or a traitor, but I don't think he's the Kandra or the spy they've been looking for. That's what I wrote.
Yeah. I don't know if he's the Kandra or like who he's working for to kind of give like insider details to everything. And honestly, to be quite honest, there could be a traitor that's not the Kandra.
Right,
Like
that's what
maybe
I'm saying. Like, he could be a traitor, but I don't think he's the Kandra.
right. Well, and I kind of wonder if they're even working together. Like if he's not the Kandra,
Oh, maybe.
like what if he's working for like Straff or something?
Could be.
I don't see how he would though, because he's been. I think the only reason why I would probably lean more towards that he's a Kandra is because he's been essentially with the resistance since it began. Like he was Ska himself.
Right. Yeah. Because he's the one that, like, was in the cave or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and he chose to stay with them instead of go to
Right.
with all of Yeden's army. So the person that not Phylan, but who's the other guy? Peabody?
Penrod?
Penrod. Okay. This is how I picture him. So he made he seems kind of cunty too.
He does
I
a
love
little
that.
bit.
But he is not a fan of Set and like the way he like tried to proclamate. So he like made this comment right after that. You, sir, are a tyrant. And I was like, oh, well, that kind of sounds like our current officials in the US.
Yes.
However, I imagine Peabody like Batman, like Alfred from Batman.
I love that you keep calling him Peabody.
Oh my god, it's Penrod. It's fine. I have an owner with the last name Pence. And anytime I'm like, oh, hey, this person came in, or like, hey, Mike Pence emailed, and everyone around me has no fucking clue why I keep calling him Mike Pence. And I'm like, listen, I've literally, first of all, grew up in a state that had him as a governor.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm used to him being said a lot in Indiana, like Mike Pence.
And you always say the whole thing. You don't say just Mike or just Pence.
You say Mike Pence.
Mike
so
Pence.
like when I say like the full name, I have to like catch myself before I start saying his first name. I just say his last name. But like immediately I was always like Mike Pence, and they're like, no. I don't. Why would the vice president like be here? And I was like, fuck. But no, I think this is what Penrod sounds like. You, sir, are a tyrant. Like, very posh, very like I just imagine him like standing up straight, squinting through his like monocle.
Yeah, like the Monopoly Man. I was literally just in my head thinking like the Monopoly Man, and then you said monocle, and I was like, yes.
Yeah, he's just like, you, sir, are a tyrant. Like that's how I imagine him. Just posh. But anyways.
But yeah.
Cool. Well, that is part 6 of Well of Ascension. The next episode, we will finish part
3 of the book.
3. And we'll be on to the next section of Well of Ascension. So until next time.
Bye.